Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Wednesday afternoon, and I am here with an amazing team. All girls, too. They've been outstanding all semester. This team has just been such a privilege to watch working together, producing analytic reports and social media content. And now they're going to be putting on what I know is going to be a remarkable show. So they're going to be putting on a social media show for us today. And I'm really very excited to have you here. We have Ava, we have Sophia, we have Taylor, we have Angie, and this is group 5. Matilda, can you believe we're at group 5?
I know. There's only one more after this. I don't know how this happened. I feel like we just started.
We just started and we're almost at the end. But honestly, I think we saved 2 of the best teams for last because we are going to have such a good time with these last 2 shows. I'm really excited to continue this conversation. And I know we've been doing deep breathing in the back. Everyone on the teams knows that like this initial few minutes can be a little stressful. But do say hello to us from the comments, whether you're joining us today from LinkedIn, Twitch, or YouTube. Please do use that commenting feature so that we can see where you are. Any questions you have, welcome. So this class today is for our MC 4326 Advanced Social Media and Analytics course. We are here today with the fabulous group 5. We're going to be talking to us about deepfakes, synthetic media, and visual toxicity. We have been talking about this all week, and we are excited to bring it to the show today. I'm going to pass the baton over to Angie, who will be kicking off the show.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angie. Welcome to our live show. My group and I will be breaking down deepfake, synthetic media, and visual toxicity and how these new technologies are changing our trust and the way we consume information. We're going to have Eva with newsworthy examples. We're going to have Taylor with social media news. And Sophia and I will be going through 2 articles. We'll be pulling from recent research, including a study showing that deepfakes don't always fool people outright, but they do create uncertainty that can seriously change trust and how we see our news. At the same time, another study found that the language we use, whether we call something a deepfake or synthetic media, can change how people view the risks and benefits of technology. So today we'll talk about visuals for us as consumers, creators, and digital citizens. And I'll hand it to Sophia, who will be sharing a personal experience. Also, we'll be reading from the article that we learned.
Hi, thank you, Angie, for that great introduction. And yes, so as Angie said, I'm going to share my personal story that changed how I see technology and trust and the internet forever. When I moved from Venezuela, I was excited about new beginnings and starting a new life, but then I started to receive a lot of messages from friends back home. Someone had created an anonymous Instagram account. They had taken a photo of my face and used editing tools to put it into another woman's body in a pornographic image. Not only me, there were other 2 family members who were also involved in the image, in an explicit, disturbing situation that, of course, never happened. My friends saw it, my family saw it, everyone saw it. And in that moment, I felt something I'd never experienced before, a complete violation of my body, my identity, and my dignity. Even though the body wasn't mine, the situation was completely fabricated, the damage was real. I reported the account immediately. Instagram eventually took it down. But here's the thing that haunts me to this day: I never found out who did it. What I discovered later made it worse. It wasn't just about me. The account had posted other multiple images of other people I knew from Venezuela. Their faces manipulated in the same situation as mine, disturbing, inappropriate content that, of course, hurt my people, my community. This made me think that this was someone I probably knew, someone who had access to my photos, to my family's pictures, and my friends. Someone who chose to weaponize this technology to humiliate us, and the anonymity of the internet made it could do it without consequences. The embarrassment I felt was overwhelming, but what shocked me more was the uncertainty. I kept asking myself, who did this? Why? What else might they do? Can I trust someone back home? Should I delete all my photos online? Even though I knew it was fake and that wasn't my body, there was still this doubt in the back of my mind. Would other people believe this was real? Would it define me? That's when I realized deepfake don't just deceive, they create this fog of confusion, shame, and fear that changes how you see yourself and how you interact with the world. The research I'm about to share with you reveals something that mirrors my story. Deepfakes are not primarily a deception problem, they are an uncertainty problem, and that uncertainty destroys trust, not just in the fake content, but what we see in general. At the end, the person who did it never faced consequences, never apologized, never revealed themselves. So here's what I would like to know. If you were in my position, what would you have wanted to happen next? Legal action, platform accountability, community support? And I'm going to post that question.
Well, that's really heavy, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. I think it opens the door to a lot of really important conversations about like who's responsible for what. And I have lots to say, but I'm going to let your team jump in first.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that legal action taken. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
You know, that's the only thing that can fix the issue for you. You can't, do anything yourself, and it's more dangerous to try to do something yourself. So definitely legal action is going to be the hope for something terrible like that happening.
I just think that it's so sad that it was someone that followed you on your social media, and it's like you don't know who it was, you don't know who to unfollow, who to like remove, who to block. So it's like that you have a lot of people on Instagram or any social media and you don't know who did it. So I feel like that's the part that sucks the most, because that person must still be in your followers,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really sad because most of the people that were in those pictures were my friends. So I knew it was someone in Venezuela who wanted to hurt me. And in that moment, I just arrived to the US. So it was all new to me. And then this happened and my family saw it. It was very embarrassing. And yeah, but nothing happened next. So I just want to give this information and my story so people can be more aware and be prepared if something like this happens, because it can happen to anyone, not just celebrities, or can happen to anyone. And yeah.
I think it's very odd that Instagram allowed those photos to be posted as well. So there should be a deeper dive onto why that was even allowed to be posted, for sure.
This strikes me as something that we would describe as like platform violence, where like someone is targeted and something awful happens to them, whether it's a deep fake or something else. Like it really is an act of online violence. And so the question becomes like, where are the guardrails to protect people from that kind of violence? And, platform accountability is also hard because anyone can make an account. And it doesn't have to be linked to anything in particular. So I used to manage a website, and these people somewhere else in the world took claim over it and said, this is ours, this is our work. Like we built that website from scratch. So like I knew it wasn't theirs. But it ended up taking a lot of legal action on our part to basically we had to sue the IP addresses, the websites they were hosting, that IP address where they were promoting this. But I think that becomes really, really hard because anyone can create a fake email with fake IP addresses and things like that. So it's like, how do you use legal action when it's an anonymous face, I guess is the question I have. So I think then the question becomes like, what is a platform's role in this? And I'm constantly, and maybe Matilda can jump in here, like we're working on a project together, and I'm constantly amazed at what is allowed to pass as acceptable on Instagram. Constantly. Matilda.
Yeah, and definitely, I know we talked a lot about how like these kinds of accounts with like very shady content, they can get really far before they get taken down. Like they can rack up like so many followers before they like catch the attention of the platform, I guess. And it's kind of scary, like in a situation like that, like you never know if like an account like that can blow up before they take it down. So it's definitely really scary. I agree with y'all.
It looks like we have some commenters. I think people have all sorts of different takes, but like legal action, take it down. If your audio is cutting out, Morgan, try a different platform. Twitch is usually the most reliable, but YouTube is also running right now. Everyone should be held accountable. I mean, I agree, but like, how do you practically execute that as a strategy? Like, everyone should be accountable. Like, in an ideal world, yes, that's true. And then Brandon said legal action is definitely the best way to go about this. But again, it's not that clear cut. I don't know.
Yeah, and what is so sad is that it took a week for Instagram to, to report the account and shut it down. So yeah, I was waiting that whole week for it to happen. So there should be like these regulations for it to, work fast. Like, you receive reports, you need to go fast. It needs to be automated. Evaluate the post and then report the account. But it takes a long time.
I like Jackie. Jackie says, I'd hunt them down myself. It's like a nice idea, Jackie, but I don't know that you would. And I want to highlight that this is not an isolated incident. This happens all the time. Sophia is not the first person I have heard said this. And I remember when I was teaching at a fashion school more than a decade ago, someone said their life was almost ruined because they were posted all over this basically shaming, smearing website that was going after young girls in her demographic. And so this kind of behavior is not just social media. Like, we've seen it with websites and blogs, and it replicates. Stephen says, beyond sorry. I'm sure there were multiple emotions. So yeah, terrible. Everyone has huge empathy for you in this story. I'm sorry you had to experience that.
Thank you so much for all your responses and nice comments. Okay, now I'm gonna dive into the article. So when we think about deepfakes in politics, our first fear is usually deception, right? What if people actually believe the fake content? But this 2020 study by Bakary and Chadwick reveals something far more troubling. Deepfakes don't necessarily fool us, but they leave us confused, as I mentioned before. That confusion is destroying our trust in news. The researchers conducted an experiment with over 2,000 British participants using the famous BuzzFeed Obama Peel deepfake video. You know, the one where Jordan Peele impersonates Obama saying, quote unquote, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. They show three versions to the three different groups. The first group received a 4-second clip of fake Obama insulting Trump with no context. The second group received a longer version with subtle warning cues. And the last group received a full video revealing it's actually Jordan Peele and explaining the technology. Here's what shocked everyone. Only 16% of people were actually deceived, regardless of which version they watched. But here's the kicker. 33% were left uncertain. They answered, I don't know, when asked if Obama ever called Trump that name. And those who watched deceptive clips without the educational reveal were significantly more likely to feel uncertain, between 35 to 37%, compared to those who saw the full educational video, which is about 27.5%. So here the study uncovered a disturbing chain reaction. Deceptive deepfake leads to uncertainty, which causes lower trust in news on social media. People who felt uncertain about the deepfake show significantly lower trust in news they encounter on social media platforms. Think about what this means. Deepfakes create this fog of confusion, right? Where we can't tell what's real anymore. And that fog spreads beyond the deepfake itself. It poisons how we view all news online. Why are deepfakes so particularly dangerous? The research points to several psychological factors. The first one is the realism heuristic. Our brains treat audio and video as more trustworthy than text because they seem closer to the real world. We evolve to trust what we see and hear. The other factor is the picture superiority effect. We process and remember visual information more directly and with less effort than written information. And the last factor is called the fluency. Familiarity makes things feel true. When we see a familiar face like Obama in our video, it triggers a sense of recognition that makes the content easier to accept, regardless of whether it's real. The study opens with two powerful 2018 examples. The first one is the India WhatsApp crisis. So this is a cleverly edited video of a kidnapping that went viral, sparking 8 weeks of mob violence that killed at least 9 innocent people. It wasn't just about believing the fake, it was the uncertainty and panic it created. The second example is the one I mentioned before, the BuzzFeed Obama video. This educational deepfake got more than 5 million views on Facebook and on YouTube, and 4.75 million on Twitter. It went viral precisely because it demonstrated how easy it is to manipulate reality, leaving people questioning everything we see online. Here's where things get really concerning for democracy. The researchers argue that deepfake contribute to what they call generalized indeterminacy and cynicism, a state where people give up trying to figure out what's real anymore. As Hannah Arendt warned, a people that no longer can believe anything cannot make up its own mind. It is deprived not only of its capacity to act, but also of its capacity to think and to judge. This creates several dangerous scenarios. The first scenario is the citizens escape the news altogether to avoid the stress of uncertainty. The second scenario is that politicians can deflect accusations by claiming nothing can be proved. The next scenario could be the anything goes online, where people feel less responsible for what they share, and opportunities for authoritarian promises to restore order through restricting freedoms. The good news about all these from the study is educational interventions work. The group that watched the full video with the review showing it was Jordan Peele experienced less uncertainty and reported higher trust in news on social media. This suggests that transparency and media literacy, showing people how manipulation works, can build resilience against these threats. Here's a question for you guys. If you saw a deepfake video of a political figure saying something terrible on social media, what would you do? Would you immediately share it, investigate it first, or just scroll past? And I will post it.
I think like you were saying, if you don't know something isn't true, like you're not going to expect the news to lie to you. That was what we were all taught. Like that is the truth. It's coming from, verifiable resource. Like people will tell you that that's the truth. So I don't know if I would share it first, really, especially now with the uncertainty kind of getting worse as time goes on. I would try to look it up first, but that isn't how I would act before this, and knowing that not everything is true, not everything can be verified.
I feel like for me, I wouldn't really share it, but usually where I see news, because I don't really watch the news on my TV, I always find out about things on TikTok or like on social media. So I usually go to the comments, and the comments give it away. Like some people is like, this is fake. And if I see like at least one comment that says that this is fake, then I go and investigate, okay, is this real or not? Because usually if someone is posting something real, the comments are like, oh my gosh, this happened, or no. But if I see a comment that said that this is AI or fake, I have to investigate.
But some of them are so good, right? Like some of them, you almost don't even recognize that they're fake. So, and also we're being bombarded with information. So our feeds are full of stuff. Can you really go investigate everything? Do you really? Like, I think intellectually we all know we should, but there's so much information that comes at us. Is that realistic?
That's what I was going to say. Just the thought of having to fact check everything I see online is just so exhausting, then like, let alone actually doing it. And just like, it's really hard. Like, how do you pick what, like, first realizing that this might be fake, and then like from there to pick which one you actually investigate. Like, you don't have time to check every little news article you see.
No, if it's bouncing bears on a trampoline like we saw on Monday, I don't care. and so you kind of do have to pick and choose. So I guess that's my point, is like, how do you pick and choose what matters?
I like what Morgan said. Oh, sorry.
No, we go ahead.
I am nosy. Like, yes, that is a good thing. You should be nosy and you should go out there and try and find the proof. Like, don't stay, and post it to everybody and share misinformation. That's just not a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to say that's why labeling is important. I think we talked about that last class of should things be labeled, and Meta has gone that route and will put tags underneath stuff. I mean, I think it first started with the election stuff when it would say like this has been verified by whoever, but then it's like who's doing the screening? Is it the platform, or can we even trust the platform anymore to like label it? Because that's up to users now. At least on TikTok, you have to label your stuff if it is AI, but some people don't.
And Meta used to have fact checkers, but there's no fact checkers anymore. So, I mean, all of this creates an ecosystem where it makes it a lot more difficult to know what's real and what's not real. Most people say they would scroll past, they're being honest.
I think Elizabeth says it well, though. Like, she says she goes to the comments to check what other people are thinking. I think that's such a good way. I do that too a lot. And I'm like, is this real or not? And then I want to know what other people think. So that's definitely a tactic, I guess.
It's a strategy for sure. Yeah, lots of people say checking comments. Yep. If I share anything, I do. It's so interesting because like even information can change. Like I've seen things shared by fairly reputable sources, and then all of a sudden, like the information will change, or they accidentally missed a word, and then all of a sudden it means the opposite thing. So sometimes it's so difficult to be able to keep on top of it.
I feel like for us, it's easier to like see the difference, but I think it's funny, a little bit funny how like our parents sent us videos of like, oh my gosh, this artist just died. And it's like, Mom, that is fake.
That's so funny, Angie. I was about to say, is there a generational difference? Because my mother will post things and I'm like, oh no. Oh no, that's not real. Is there a generational difference?
I think there is, because they don't know what AI is. And then to explain to them what AI is and why people would do that. I mean, your parents already ask you, like, who's in that video that you're watching? And you're like, I have no idea. So if that's already going to be a generational gap, how am I then going to explain, no, somebody made a deep fake of somebody else? Like, that's almost impossible for my 6-year-old grandma to understand. And it's a lot. I think it is generational, though.
Well, I talk to my grandma a lot about this AI and this new technology, and she's like more aware. Now she's like always asking, Sophie, is this real? Like she's like that. She's just about being open about this, because for us it's still new too. Like we're also learning, and I also fall for the news because most of the news that I see, they're old, but they edit it in a way that they seem updated. And I always fall for that. So I'm like, oh, is this really happening? No, that's old. Oh, okay. But yeah, it's about being, skeptical when you see something on social media, and do your research if you want to, if you're interested in the topic, and, compare with other articles and other news outlets to see if it's really, true about what they're saying. But yeah,
What you said about like news being old, I think that sometimes there's like profiles that just like download the video and then they post it like a month later, and people think that that's new and that just happened, and it's just a video that is not their video, but they took it from another account and they're just now posting it. So that's kind of like, I think that some profiles should not be allowed to like download those videos and like save it and then post them, like that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think they do that to gain engagement. Like, look, the headline, this is what happened, look at this. And that's what they want. That's the goal for them, to, people to share it and engage with the post. But yeah, it's about being mindful of what you're engaging with, like what type of content, if it's actually true, updated. Yeah.
So you speak about this role of uncertainty, and I'm curious if you can elaborate on this. Like, do you, in your own experiences, feel uncertain about content? Like, is that part of our normal informational ecosystem now? And what are some, like, do you block these kind of things, or how do you deal with uncertainty? And this is a question for everyone.
Yeah, for me, of course, I didn't know the outcome of all the posts that happened, and it looked real. Like, wow, I was amazed. I didn't know, and so of course I didn't know who was behind it. I didn't know what to do and what's gonna happen. Future employers might find out about these. People might have screenshotted these. I don't know what can happen. What's the outcome of this? And yeah, so that's uncertainty. I don't know the person. I don't know what's going to be the outcome in the near future. And that's the uncertainty. At the end of the day, it's just out of your hands. It's not in your control anymore. And that's the doubt that emerges from this.
There's some really great conversation going on in the chat.
I was gonna say, we have some funny comments.
Oh, good. It's so good. They're having their own side conversation over there. There's definitely a generation difference. My grandma sends me so many AI videos. And then Jaden says, I agree with Armani. And Kylie says, I reposted a picture of Rihanna and ASAP Rocky getting engaged, and everyone was saying, Kylie, that's not real. It turns out they're not getting married. And I definitely fall for a lot of AI. We did a poll on Monday. Everyone falls for AI. You're not alone. Morgan says, I fell for that too. So there's just this great conversation going on. My mom used to preach, don't believe everything you see on the internet. I don't think you can believe like 90% of what you see anymore on social. Yeah. There's so many comments. I can't do all of them, but if there's another one you want me to flag, I can. I know they're coming in fast and there's so many.
Yeah.
I liked Ari's question, and she says, I agree with that. Do you guys think that this will ever stop, or do you think it will just get worse and more AI? Unfortunately, I may be a little bit pessimistic about it, but I don't think there's any signs of stopping. I think it's a new technology, and when we get new technology, we're going to try to make it better and better and better. And now, we were just talking about it the other day. Zoom has an AI, a little character, you know what I mean? Like, they have an AI system, and I saw on Canva they have an AI system. On, like, even the page I'm looking at now has Gemini in the top corner. So it's not going away, and I think we need to find boundaries for it, but it's not, I mean, it's just going to continue to get worse for sure.
Well,
Oh, please go ahead.
well, thank you so much for the conversation. And now we'll pass it to Angie, who's going to talk about the next article.
Hello. Okay, now I'm going to break down our second article, which looks at how the words we use change the way we think about technology. This study is called Deepfakes or Synthetic Media, ? The effect of euphemism for labeling technology on risk and benefit perception. And the researchers wanted to know something really simple but super important. Does the term deepfake make the technology sound scarier? And does the synthetic media make it sound more neutral or even positive? This study has two parts. The first one, they look at 380 Swiss news articles. They found that the media almost always uses the word deepfake and barely ever says synthetic media. And when the word deepfake is used, the coverage is usually negative. Most articles connect deepfakes to things like disinformation, crime, or pornography. Positive framing mainly shows up in entertainment like movies or creative uses. The second, they did a survey experiment with 736 people. Participants were randomly given one term, either deepfake or synthetic media, and asked about risks and benefits. Here's what they found. The term deepfake didn't really change how risky people thought the technology was. People already see a lot of risk no matter what. But the term synthetic media made people see more benefits like creativity, innovation, or usefulness in the economy and science. So basically, the word synthetic media acts like a euphemism. It sounds softer, more technical, and is less of a threat than deepfake. So overall, this article shows that language really matters, even though it's the exact same technology. We call it changes the way people feel about it. Deepfake triggers negativity, while synthetic media makes people more open to positive sides. So my question for you guys is, when you see AI generate content, do you call it deepfake or do you call it synthetic media?
It depends.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you go, Sophia.
It depends on the context. I will usually refer to synthetic media when it's about films and, fun edits and something that is not harmful. I will say synthetic media. But deepfake, as the term says, is more like it has a negative connotation. So it would be more like using misinformation and content with the goal of, being harmful to other people. So yeah, I have those like terms very like separate from one another. But it depends on the context.
I think synthetic media is just such a good catch-all term for all of it. But deepfake is that like specific transforming out the face, right? Like that, exactly what Sophia experienced. So I think there's going to be synthetic media that is potentially really beautiful and aesthetic and interesting, like some of the stuff we talked about. And then there's going to be stuff that's like the AI slop we looked at. And then there's going to be stuff that's potentially more nefarious. Well, we are already seeing that. And often with politicians and celebrities, because there's so much content already available for them to train themselves.
I even think I would go a little further. I think it's synthetic media, AI generated, and deepfake. I think they're all completely different. I think with synthetic media, like I've seen how deepfakes have been made after all of the unfortunate research I've had to do, and it's a person doing it. It's not AI generated. They are framing their people's faces and putting it and taking thousands and thousands of pictures. I think AI can be a part of that, but I think keeping them separate is a good thing, because if you are making synthetic media, I mean, that can be anything. It can be anything that you've had your hands on that isn't real. I mean, it can be filtering. Like, where's the line? Like, what makes it actually different? I guess, is it AI? Like, I don't know.
It looks like a lot of people in the comments
Jason
are
said deepfake. Yeah, and synthetic media is a better term, but I think personally, like, I would always refer to everything as like, oh, that's a deepfake. That's deepfake, But after all this, like Ava said, all this research, it should be broader, and we can categorize it into like 3 separate ones.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, sorry, Angie.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'll ask after you. Go ahead.
I remember reading from the article, and it says that usually tech companies that use AI, researchers in general, they like to use synthetic media better. And they want to get rid of the deepfake so it won't be related to their projects. For example, with our projects related to AI, synthetic media never mention deepfake, because synthetic media is the broader spectrum of the deepfake, right? But in the article, deepfake is more related to negative stuff, like pornography, misinformation, fraud, scam, and synthetic media is more on the film and the artistic part of AI. So yeah, tech companies like to refer to synthetic media.
So many great comments going on, but I mean, keep in mind that definition of synthetic media is really anything that has been changed with any sort of tech tool. And so that might be Photoshop, or that might be AI, or some combination, but it's any sort of doctoring of imagery where it's, actually synthetically generated. And I think that that's important to keep in mind. Steven says, restating what was said on Monday, but when talking about deepfakes, the only good that comes from it is the silly punchline, which we have plenty of. Yeah, I think that was such a great conversation we had on Monday about just how, what good can come from this as a question of synthetic media in all of its forms. And in some cases, it's like none. But In some cases, there might be some good. Matilda, any thoughts on this? I mean, we've been looking at a lot of synthetic media on Instagram.
We have, and yeah, I guess it comes down to, I think we've talked about this before in some of the other shows, is just like how transparent they are about things. Like, is it easy to, well, sometimes it's not easy to recognize if it is synthetic. So then it's like, is there clear labeling? And I know we touched on that topic too. So it's like, there's all these like big questions around it, because I think we're still kind of in the beginning of all this like technology developing. So like, we're still figuring out how to deal with it, and there's all these big questions floating around among it. And I think it's so important that we have these kinds of conversations, and it's such a great topic for the show because it's still kind of new, and still we're still exploring how to deal with it and how to react to it and all that stuff. So just a great topic to talk about right now, and important too.
Do you think the etymology of the term matters? Like the fact that it was derived on Reddit in this like pornographic subreddit, like does this matter in terms of like what they're trying to conjure up with that terminology?
Are you like the terminology of like deep fake is that word? I would say that it's good that they do have a different word than synthetic media, because they can like separate the good with the bad. Because if we had just one thing, we wouldn't know how to differentiate. Like, okay, is this, if we didn't have that deep fake word as the word, everything will be seen as good. It will be all just synthetic media. It was not harmful. This is good. And it would be very unbalanced. And we will be even more confused.
Yeah, I agree with Angie. I think it's definitely important that there's like a term that describes the like more, I would say, like dangerous stuff and stuff that's like clearly has like bad intent behind it. And then I can't think on top of my head like a great use for synthetic media, but there probably is like good uses for it. Maybe like I'm thinking like Photoshop, like enhancing pictures and stuff. Like there's no like bad intent behind it. You just want to look a little better. Like we talked about that in one of the other shows too.
So or whenever like you like want to make like a poster of like a picture that you want to print for your, and you don't have the creativity to do it yourself, but you want to gift it or something. I see that that's a good use and like an easy way.
So then it's great that there's like a term that's like, I'd say a little bit softer, and then deepfake is like, it gives us that differentiation between those for sure.
And like the article was saying, is also the use of words is like what is important for the people to, if they're, I feel like it will be very good if like we see a video on somewhere in any platform and there was like a little sign that said deepfake, you know, so we will stop watching, and like the other one would just be AI. I wish they had that separation as well.
Are there other categories of synthetic media that you've encountered that like this belongs in its own category?
Really, the only example I can think of is what Matilda was saying with Photoshop. I think that's, I mean, it's not real, so it's synthetic, but it's not malicious, so it's not a deepfake. I can't think of any other specific examples for synthetic media. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I can, but I'll dive into that later.
I was going to say, Jason says, in my current corporate world, we are now just putting together acceptable use policies for our employees with these Gen AI tools. And one principle is to acknowledge in presentations when AI has been used. For example, AI was used to create the images in this PowerPoint. I think this is an interesting one, because I think a lot of companies right now are building out similar policies or have already. Like I know here at Texas State, we did that like a while ago. Like I feel like 2 years ago, right? Like we had to start putting in these statements in our syllabus. Even in classes where like the whole intent is to use AI, like I have to have it, and it says like, unless you have permission. It's like they have permission in all their assignments to use it. They need it to build the chatbots they're building. But the point I'm trying to make here is like, how do we create this? Should there be universal policies and like uses of how, like, the kind of images that should be posted on social media? Because ultimately that's what we're talking about. Like, largely these images are circulating around big platforms like Meta, like TikTok. So should these platforms be held accountable to the type of content that's being circulated?
I'll say real quick, I think it's hard to come up with all these rules and like guidelines because it changes so fast. Like, they would constantly have to, like, once they get one rule out, they need to start on the next one because it's already evolved and there's like new technology and new stuff and new considerations with it. So I definitely think there should be, but I can also see why it's really difficult.
I think that they should be. Whenever we have to like log in into or open like a profile on like an app, and we have to like put our face. No, whenever we're doing our Face ID on our phones, and we have to like make sure that we're real humans. I feel like every app should do that with pictures that are being posted.
That would be amazing. Can you imagine? Val says, I agree. Deepfakes can strengthen the ill intention of types of alterations of media. And similar to what we've been discussing, like, there's a lot of AI slop right now. I really like Elizabeth's question. Do you think the point of synthetic media is that it's not easily detectable, and how harmful is the content that we see online? And I think this links into this visual toxicity. Like, are certain communities using synthetic media as a form of visual toxicity, and are certain community groups also the targets of this more so than others? Like, can we open a conversation around this great question?
Yeah, I think it's what I really like that question too. So thank you, Elizabeth, for asking that. I think it is the point. I don't know if it's negative on purpose, like where it's trying to deceive you. I just think it's trying to, like, I don't have a good word for it, but remain fluid. So like, let's take Photoshop, for example. You're doing it to either improve upon an image or change an image, but it's not, I mean, it goes back to our last conversation about the selfies. Like, is makeup, is filters, is whatever, is that fake? Is it, not authentic? So, I mean, yeah, I would say that it's purposely not detectable. That, I mean, you want to make it look your best, so you don't want to be caught trying to make it look your best. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's like the point with example of the films. If it looks real, the more real is the better, right? So we want to see incredible, amazing things that could happen in the fiction world, like Harry Potter, like, like with editing tools that can be as enhanced as possible, so it can be better. And so yeah, like, of course there are different contents where you can say like it's important to detect if it's AI or not, but there are other things that it's better not to know. Like in the movies, I remember growing up, I will like think all of those were real, and that's the magic of the film. But yeah, taken in different contexts, it will depend on how important it is to detect and be aware of that.
To build off that question, I'm just going to ask my kind of second question, which is, does synthetic media harm more, like, particular groups more than others? Like, is there a space where we, like Sophia's story, like, I can't think of any examples of male students coming to me and saying like I was deep faked, right? Like, so I'm just curious, like, is there more to this conversation? Yeah, Angie.
I would say that Eva is going to touch on that. So we want to move to Eva and the newsworthy, because she is touching into that and who gets harmed more than others.
Let's go to Eva then. Looking forward to it.
That's really funny. You actually have asked two of the questions that I had. I mean, it's great.
I was like, you're ignoring my question. That's why. You already have it planned.
No, it's really funny. Like, one of the questions is, why do you think non-consensual deepfake content disproportionately targets women? So, I mean, I can go ahead and just put that in the chat now. I am going to eventually talk about
Do it and let the audience and we'll hear you and then come back to it. Thank you so much for that. And sorry for stealing your question.
No, I mean, it's a good question and it's a good conversation to have for sure. So I want to read the comments, but I do want to get into, I'm so sorry, my cat is yelling at me. I do want to get into the documentary that I read and wanted to talk about. So it's called Another Body. It's on Apple TV, I believe, and Amazon Prime. But it's about a woman named Taylor Klein. She's a college student in Plainfield, Connecticut. So the intro is pretty crazy. It shows that she's getting like a messenger on Facebook from one of her friends, and unfortunately, it's a link to Pornhub. So she opens the link really cautiously. She goes to like text him off of that, text him normally and ask like, hey, have you been hacked? Have you, like, what is going on here? And she opens it to unfortunately find a video of her that wasn't her, it wasn't her body, and it was not consensual. So she decides to go and talk to the police. The officer or the detective that she gets assigned to just really doesn't know what to do with it. He asked, what have you done for someone to do this to you? And it's disgusting what happened, but there's no laws against it. Therefore, they have a right to do it. He kind of just explains this is a small town. Like, things like this don't happen. Things like this are happening. And that's the point of kind of this whole conversation, is that this is a real occurrence. So just for a little bit of legal background, and it's a little bit of jargon, but lawmakers in at least 17 states enacted laws that are specifically referring to online impersonation done with an intent to intimidate, bully, threaten, or harass a person through social media sites, email, or other electronic or online communications. All of the laws vary from state to state and still kind of do. For another little bit of a backstory, there's a section in the Communications Act, and it's basically just saying that there's protection for providers and users from being held liable for information provided by another person. In plain language, it's protecting platforms. If you are sent something, if you are posting to a platform, they're not going to be held liable for what you sent them. So I do kind of want to, I know I just posted a question, but do want to open up the conversation, which we've already kind of been talking about. The question is, who do you think should be held more responsible for deepfake misuse? Should it be individual creators, platforms, tech developers, or lawmakers?
All of the above, but what does your team think first?
Everybody involved, absolutely. The lawmakers, they should be making the laws. The tech developers, why is this on their platform? The creators, why are they doing this? What is the purpose? It's not morally correct. There's no reason to do it.
I think that if I can put them in like 1, 2, 3, I'll say lawmakers for sure, because the people that created those apps would not be able to create that app if there was a law. And then the creators that are making those images wouldn't not be able to create anything if there was not an app. So I feel like the first one on top is the lawmakers. They should have like rules and like, okay, you can create this, like this app is not gonna go out because of the bad things that it can create, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything everyone said. I think it starts with the lawmakers, and then those laws are going to get pushed onto platforms. Platforms will filter through their content easier, and then the creators just don't do it, but there has to be a rule set in place by the people who have the rules to stop any of this, I think.
Matilda, I see you nodding. Do you want to jump in?
I just agree with all of you, and I really liked what you said, Angie, how it all just kind of goes together, like without one, there's not the other, and so forth. And I definitely agree with that. Yeah, clearly there's not enough done right now because all of this stuff is out there. So, and it goes back to what we talked earlier about how many followers an account, like an account with bad intention can get before it gets taken down. And like, there's just so many issues with it right now. And I definitely think there needs to be a lot of conversations about it to address the issue, really.
I'm looking at the comments. A lot of them seem to agree. I liked I just am reading this one from Lucas. Honestly, a mix. The platform should really have some sort of detection systems in place to target and take down this content. The lawmakers should also be looking out for their people and put rules in place that can lead to criminal charges for people who create content like this. Yeah, I mean, totally agree. Everyone needs to be held accountable or the problem won't be fixed. Someone has to take the blame for it. Someone needs criminal charges for it. I mean, there's no benefit to it. To which I'll get on with further if anyone else has any other questions before I move on. All right, so getting back a little bit to the documentary, Taylor reveals that she isn't the real Taylor. That is not her name, it's not her face. So all of the footage in the documentary, which was kind of a shock to me, is a deep fake. It's a different actor that's over the real Taylor. So going back to one of the articles that we talked about previously, why would you assume that what you're seeing isn't real? And there's a lot of tells in the video that you can see when you're watching, like eye movement's a little different, or the speech is different, or the way that they move their head. It's like it's training the deep fake to move it with it. So there's like a little bit of tells, but obviously with growing technology, it's going to make it difficult for all different generations. So Taylor then finds out that this is happening to multiple other women in her social circle in college. One of her past roommates that she lived with, Julia, who is another deepfake actor playing a real person, is approached by Taylor to see if this has been happening with her. Julia and Taylor go searching on a website called 4chan, where they find that they're all being exploited. So a little bit of backstory on 4chan. I didn't know a lot about this until this conversation, which feel like I learned a little too much about it, unfortunately. But it's an anonymous image board website. They can post images and discuss a lot of different topics in a really, really loose, moderated environment. The platform has been in controversy due to their connections with extremist groups, hate speech, harassment, and other harmful, just different kinds of conversation that aren't beneficial to anyone. So on 4chan, the girls that are there, there's forums and people are posting pictures of girls, and it's to like a creator who is making the deep fakes of the girls. So it's literally just, hey, can you make a deep fake of this girl? And there's nobody stopping it. There is no rules with 4chan, unfortunately. So Taylor's really having a hard time, a really difficult time pursuing legal action. So she does her own research into other women who may have been affected. So she goes on like another kind of deep fake generating site where there's forums of people asking, and sees that there's this famous ASMR YouTuber, I believe her name is pronounced GB, but she's seen a lot of different women go through this version of abuse, and so she decides to take it upon herself to talk about the dangers. So she goes live and creates a viral community of other people talking about their experiences. So since then, Taylor has been approached by the White House to create a video explaining her story so that the government and the rest of the world could be a little bit more informed. And this led to the creation of #MyImageMyChoice. It's a cultural movement tackling intimate image abuse. The co-founder spoke at a panel at Adobe's Content Authenticity Initiative, Mozilla Firefox Festival, and an event hosted by Control AI, all with the focus of informing parents and others about the dangers of deepfake technology. It's finally getting a little bit better. As of this year, on May 19th, we introduced the Take It Down Act. So according to Congress, this bill prohibits non-consensual online publication of intimate visual depictions of individuals, both authentic and computer generated. And it requires a certain online platform to promptly remove the depictions upon receiving notice of their existence. So it has gotten better. I mean, there are strides to making it a lot safer on the internet. But to kind of wrap this up, deepfakes are highly dangerous and a serious form of sexual abuse. There's a global threat in political climates, to which Taylor will get into talking to after me. But it's heavily impacting everyday women with slow signs of stopping. We have started to unearth how toxic this form of synthetic media is, but it will take time and voices to move the train along. It's not a victimless crime, and there are no benefits that outweigh the damage to continue using this form of technology. There is a petition on it's literally #MyImageMyChoice. It's a website, and if y'all wanted to sign that, it's just kind of moving the conversation along and seeing what our lawmakers can do to make it a safer place, not only just for women, but for everybody. But yeah, that's all I have for today, and I'm open to questions. I posted both questions in the chat already, but if we do want to, I do kind of want to talk a little bit more about the why is it just women that this is targeting?
It's such a good question. I'm so glad you're targeting this particular topic, because I do think it's something that we need to be discussing across the platforms. And one thing that I've observed repeatedly, that it doesn't matter which social media platform we're talking about, is that it doesn't seem to even matter what the content policies are, like the moderation policies, the governance policies. the attacks at women don't seem to matter. They're not the ones that are being flagged. They're not the ones that are being taken seriously. And so why is that happening? What does your team think?
I will say deepfake targets more women than men because of the existing gender stereotypes. It comes back from history. This is not a new problem. Deepfake is giving a new weapon to an old problem. It's just intensifying these and these. So yeah, women are vulnerable to this, and it's just really sad that this keeps coming and affecting more women. Women, of course, this shouldn't be for anyone, but yeah, I will say that the gender stereotype problem that we've had for a long time.
I wonder what your thoughts are, because like deepfakes aren't inherently needed. They don't inherently need Gen AI. But what does Gen AI do to the deepfake culture? And based on what we learned, I think in week 2 or 3, on how algorithms are trained and reproduce those stereotypes, what does that mean for the future of deepfakes, potentially?
I mean, it's just going to make things easier. AI is, at least for my experience, AI is easy to use. You ask it a question, you ask it to do something, which we've talked about before too, is the danger with AI and relationships. You're asking something to do something for you that has no choice but to do it for you. It's really easy, it's accessible, and accessibility is the danger here. Right now, it's only software engineers that know how to do this. You're going to have to really study how to learn how to do this, but you're not going to have to do it if you have AI. Yeah.
I love what Val said. Yes, I like what Sophia said. A new weapon to an old problem. We need to emphasize that. That was a great line, Sophia.
Thank you.
Steven says, glad to see an optimistic and influential movement from the negativity that comes from this. I've never heard of this. Wow. Oh gosh, girl. Yeah, it's terrible. And Leo says, I agree with Sophia. The males aren't really getting targeted. I mean, that's a good thing. We don't want them to be targeted. It needs to be not addressed at us either.
I mean, I think it's just systematic, like gender stereotypes. And, I talked about how the police didn't believe her. I mean, they said, what did you do? And a lot of times when women do say that there's a crime occurring, it's what did you do? What role did you play in it? Did you say no? This is a consent issue. While it's definitely, it's fake, it's consensual, and that's the issue here, and that's always been the issue. We've made such big strides towards, with the Me Too movement and being able to say no and stand up for yourself and be more believed. That's all taken down with with the deepfakes, because how are you going to spot that that's fake? How are you going to say to your coworkers and your family, I didn't do that? So I think it all goes together. Yeah.
I will also say, following from what you said, how I'll say the word men lost a lot of privilege of a lot of power on us. They want to find a way easier to receive it, in a fake way. It was so easy for them to say, hey, you should do this, and now we're allowed to say no, but the synthetic media is telling them yes in a different way. And if they want to see a picture of let's say myself, they can just create it. I have the right to say no, but they don't need me to say no or yes anymore, because they can find it anyone else. They just need a picture of my face and they create something. So I think that that's so sad that it's happening. And I'll also bring another question for you guys here. It's do you think this happen more often to celebrities, or do you guys think that we just don't hear about it for normal people like us?
I think
it's easier.
Well, I think it happens to everyone, but is amplified for celebrities and politicians. Taylor?
It's definitely happening to everyone around us. It's like what Ava said. The first thing they ask is what were you wearing? Women are constantly just a target of literally everything. Men around us were a target always. And Sophia didn't ask to get deepfake. We didn't ask for any of this. And it's a constant issue that lawmakers are also not providing us with assistance.
And also that you don't know who's behind it. They can just do it without facing the consequences. So it's more probably to do the harm, because there's not going to be any punishment. So it's just, yeah, accessible and very easy to harm people nowadays.
Even like the story I just told, the documentary I just read, there was no happy ending. She knew who it was, and she was able to track down who it was eventually, but there was no legal action taken against him. Like, it's not tied in a happy bow, and they're going to go to prison, and the rest of your life is going to be fixed. Like, this is long term, and we've talked about it in class before. Like, things that are on social media they don't disappear. They're there forever. The digital footprint is real. And when it's not your digital footprint that you made the decision to make, how is that fair, you know?
And I know you guys touched on this before a little bit about how like we're always worried about like future employees and stuff like that. Like anybody can see it online, and it's easy when you just see it, it's easy to believe it too. And then especially if you don't know the person, it's easy to believe it. So like future employees or like any other people, they can easily believe it. So it can be really, like you said, long-term consequences for you, not the person who did it.
While we wait for people, Val has a question for you. Can we see any advantage to synthetic media?
I will say that it was created for good. It was created to like make, I would say, things easier somehow. But there is people that are evil, and they will always find a way to use good things for bad.
There's some good comments here. Do you want to read these?
I absolutely love what Carol said. She said gender stereotypes. Men are constantly praised for things like this. They get an attaboy, high fives, pats on the back, and women are like, they're like, oh, why would you do that? That's nasty. That's gross. Well, you know, it's stuff like that. It's been existing for years, and I don't really see it getting any better, honestly, especially with all the deepfake stuff. Like, it's so bad.
Also, like, not to put their emotions to the side or how they might feel if this happened to them, because I'm not sure, but I would say that if like that were to happen to a male, it's more praise. Like she's saying, even if the picture is fake, it's like it's not as bad as if a picture of a woman get leaked, because they get praised for how they look and what they have and what they were doing in that picture. Because at the end of the day, I don't know how to explain it, but anyways, that was what I want to say.
And Armani says, all scary. I feel like, yes, it happens to celebrities, but yes, to everyday people as well. It's just not as amplified. And I mean, that makes sense, right? Like if it's Taylor Swift, we're all going to hear it because we all know who that is. And if it's, someone in our class, we're not going to hear it because none of us are famous. So it really just comes down to how news travels.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of articles saying that why is this popular? Like seeing other women's in these, pornographic situations or, disturbing images is because it's popular. It receives a lot of shares, a lot of likes, a lot of views. So that's very disturbing for me. Like this society likes that. Like we need to stop doing that, because that's why they still promote those type of content, because we still like those things and view those things. So we need, regulate more of that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sex sells, like it always has. That's what's going to get the best outcome on things. If you're showing a little bit more skin, you're going to get more likes. If it's going to be a video you view, it's going to get attention. I love this conversation. I obviously got really passionate about it, especially while researching it. But I do see that we're coming up on time a little bit, so I will hand it over to Taylor.
Hi guys, I'm so excited because I'm going to open this by saying I personally believe that AI is a nuisance. I am tired of seeing new apps like Sora. I'm tired of seeing videos of Jake Paul. I don't want it. I don't like it. I think it's crazy. And that's what people know it for. They know it for entertainment purposes. It started off with ChatGPT. You go and you ask a little fun question. You ask it for a recipe and it gives it to you. Fun, cool, awesome. But now we have Sora. And it's like, if anybody knows Pauly D from Jersey Shore, if you don't know him, he's known for his hair. He's known for his great, amazing hair. And he posts like 10 videos on his Instagram story every single day. I don't want to see that. And it's crazy. He's going bald, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, no. It's not real. Stop falling for this stuff." But anyways, I digress. Deepfakes have been around for so long though. Like we talked about the Obama video, and if you didn't know, this is what I wanted to dive into earlier. Fast and Furious, after Paul Walker passed away, they used his brother, and then they put Paul's face on his brother, which it's a little creepy, but it's stuff like that. It's mainly for entertainment purposes, but that's what people know it for, except everybody here today. That's why we're diving into the negatives of it. And it's used for scams. That's one of the main negatives. Your favorite celebrity is not selling you anything. I don't know why that's so popular. I've seen it a lot. They're selling these random things that nobody knows about. And it's like, my aunt, she told me that she applied for Taylor Swift's loan program and was excited to get $700,000. Showed me the video. I don't understand. I don't understand how people are falling for these things. I don't know who she gave her information to, but that's something that happened. And it's not just people like my aunt. It's a woman spoke to George Clooney for about 6 weeks on Facebook to help him with his troubles. She gave him a bunch of money. And one of his troubles was he was trying to separate from his wife so he could be with her. And she finally contacted the FBI after she realized she had given him over $10,000. Another woman lost $850,000 to Brad Pitt. It's a constant negative in everybody's lives, and we can dive into the political deepfakes, which I think is one of the bad ones as well. Audio deepfakes were generated of former President Biden urging voters to skip the primaries. Last year in Slovakia, deepfake audios were spread, and disinformation about the election. Electoral fraud was heard in Turkey. A candidate withdrew from the race from after a deepfake sex tape was leaked, and she just dropped. It's political warfare. It's not a good thing for especially the older generation, who is already, I personal belief, they're not educated in a lot of politics nowadays. And if all of this stuff is happening and they're hearing these audios about how President Biden thinks you should actually skip out and you shouldn't vote, it's stuff like that is just, it's terrible. And we don't need this, especially now. And we've been diving into this entire time, but deepfakes, it's revenge porn. It's terrible. It's targeted towards women. A certain popular genre of pornographic content is celebrity deepfakes. Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift have all been deepfaked constantly. There are actors that they get that look similar to them, and they put them with their face, and then they put them in all these scenarios, and it's just terrible. And it's not consensual at all. Taylor Swift was actually found to be the #1 most deepfake celebrity. And explicit images were spread of her on Twitter or X after being generated by Grok, the AI component in the app. So stuff like that, it's on the app, it's being made, and there's no flag for it. There's no, hey, this can't be made. It's just given a prompt. It's asked, hey, make a deepfake of Taylor Swift in a certain position, naked, and it's a violation. But it's not just Taylor Swift. It's not just these celebrities. It's everybody. It's someone you know. It's, it could be you. And I think that's absolutely terrifying. But just to reiterate what Ava said earlier, as of May 2025, the Take It Down Act makes publishing sexually explicit computer-generated images illegal. Though Donald Trump joked the bill would only apply to him because nobody gets treated worse than he does online. Anyway, moving on. Texas law regarding sexually explicit deepfakes prohibits the creation and distribution of deepfake videos and images that depict a person in a sexually explicit situation without their consent. And as for election-related deepfakes, it is a crime to create and distribute deepfakes of political candidates within 30 days of the election if the intent is to harm the candidate and influence the outcome of the election. So, my question is, what are some ways we can avoid being fooled by these deepfakes with the constant rise of AI that's happening every day? How can we stay media literate? I know that's 2 questions, but it coincides. I need us to stay media literate, please. So.
Are you able to stick those in the chat for us, Taylor? And great dynamic presentation.
Hey, it's loading.
Yeah, we're having a bit of. I'm having a little bit of lag on my side. But does anyone on the team want to kick off?
Yeah, when I want to spot if it's real or not, the first thing I will look is like their movements. For example, if they blink too much, not blink, the lip sync, the symmetry of the face. I'm very visual, so I really like can tell details like that if it's real or not. There are also a lot of deepfake detectors. I don't know if you've heard. I haven't used them, but I know there's one called Intel's Fake Catcher, and it like assesses the pixels of the video, and it can tell if it's manipulated or not. But yeah, there's the Microsoft Video Authenticator. That's one to tell if it's manipulated or not. But in general, personally, what I will do is to look at those details and also do my research too. I get overwhelmed with a lot of tools and applications, so I would just look at my tab. Okay, let's see if it's real. But yeah, do research. Be mindful of what you can see. Like it can't nothing you can tell if it's real or not. And look at those details. I would say.
I would say that we need to stop getting, and this is for me, myself, and I as well. We need to stop believing what we see on just random apps, and like if it's a legit like news, on their app, their profile and stuff like that, I would probably believe it. But sometimes I believe things that another person like me share on their own website. So I just think that if you what we could do is just to like do a research in their actual websites, like NewsFox, like an actual legit page.
I really hope that all the technology you talked about, Sophia, like catches up, like as like the technology that makes the synthetic media evolves. I hope that all the ones that are like trying to catch the like deepfakes and stuff get better too, just so that we can use them to actually catch like everything. And I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I hope so.
That would be fantastic. And like people shouldn't be able to steal other people's likeness, right? Like that should just be something that we all agree that the internet needs to protect at all costs. So like how can we make that happen and have those detection? So you can't even get the post up. You can't post it to Reddit. You can't post it to 4chan. Like you can't even get to the stage of generation because it's not allowed. I think this is a really interesting question. I think it's getting harder though, unfortunately. Like I think the reality is that it's getting harder, and not just deepfakes, because I don't watch deepfakes. Like, the odd one will come up with like the Pope in the Montclair jacket or whatever, and it's fake because he's not wearing like a goose down jacket like that. But what I will say is like synthetic media by and large is getting so much better that 2 years ago I could ask the question, is this real, is this fake, and students would always know the difference. And now like less than 2 years later, we're at a point where it's like, no, you can't, right? And so I think it just becomes about recognizing how good the tools have gotten. And if you recall that kind of conversation we had on Monday, which is like, okay, so they're not blinking, they're going to be blinking next week. Okay, so they're not doing this, or the light is hitting them in just this way. Next week, they won't be doing that because they're always trying to keep up with the tells. So the tells only last for so long. And so you have to keep looking for new tells. And so I think the best thing to do is just be critical of everything you're consuming and recognize how easy it is to manufacture absolutely everything we're seeing, whether it's audio, songs. Remember that song, Matilda, like the song that we were talking, so we were listening to AI music in the lab yesterday.
Yeah, we were saying how like we could tell right now that it is AI, but like there's gonna come a time when you can't. You're gonna hear like a random country song that's written totally by AI. Everything about it is created by AI, and we just can't tell. Like there's gonna come that time. We're not quite there yet, but for those who are not as educated on AI as maybe like the people in our program and the people interested in AI, like that could easily pass as a real song for them. And it's scary because not everybody's as educated on like all the technology is like we are, and especially people in the field we're in. So
I know in previous semesters people have talked about like the robocalls where it's like someone's voice. But earlier this week, my husband said like I was on the phone with a travel agent and it took me 5 minutes to realize they weren't a person. They couldn't answer this like one question I eventually had, but he said like the voice sounded so real. And that song that I played in the lab yesterday, it has 1.5 million views. Spotify is amplifying this content. And so we're seeing this in sound, in static, and in interactive content, whether images and video and so forth. So I think that's, yeah, it's happening everywhere. But I'm realizing that to answer that, it's like Val says, media literacy is so important, but critical thinking is potentially even more important and maybe linked to media literacy. I think we should pass it over back to Angie for our wrap up.
There you go. Well, I just want to make sure that nobody has any more questions. And if you guys do, we are here to answer. But if y'all don't, thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. I hope you guys walk away from this meeting with a better understanding of deepfakes and synthetic media, not just how they work, but how they affect the way we trust what we see. And as creators and consumers, our job is to stay aware, stay critical, and stay curious. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
I realized I'm muted. I said, well done. Way to go. Congratulations. You did it. I know that there's nerves at the beginning and gosh, the content was, difficult, much more difficult than I was expecting us to get to, but I appreciate you going there and opening up these really difficult conversations for us, because I do think to solve the problems, we do need to discuss the problems and think about the problems. And so I do appreciate you very much in kind of spearheading this conversation and asking the kinds of questions you asked. It was really outstanding. And everyone in the comments is also saying, well done, great jobs, great jobs. It was a very informative session. I really thought that was really great. Armani has one last question for you. You're not off the hook. Should social media platforms take a more active role in promoting media literacy?
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
And how?
I think everybody should.
And how? How?
I feel like they might even be doing that already, but we don't read. We don't. It's true. Like whenever we download an app, we don't read the description. Let's be honest. So I feel like we have to take our part too, and to like, okay, this is not just an AI problem. This is also a me problem. Like I am over here, basically, they're feeding me, and I am allowing them to feed me. Because if we didn't want TikTok, we shouldn't have it in our phones. If we, we are allowing them to fool us too, because we don't read. We don't keep each other informed. So that was one of what we should do.
Anyone else want to jump into that question before Ava?
Have y'all seen those, like the AI check, make sure you don't get fooled or whatever, and it's like shows you two images and it's like which one's real, and then it goes away whatever's the fake or the real one. I mean, those are fun. I've done those, but like Angie was saying, I mean, it is a personal responsibility to stay literate on things. But I do think if we leaned a little bit more educational with tagging or with just having classes that can explain kind of the tells to look for, or I'm not sure, Black Mirror obviously got everyone into they introduced us to deepfakes. They introduced us to all of that. So maybe do a little bit of fear mongering. Tell people it's scary. Tell people it's bad. Yeah.
Fear monger.
Okay,
Black Mirror. I do think this kind of like scenario building is really helpful. And on that, can you tell if it's real or fake? That is your social media lab for this week. I want to remind you that we are off. Monday we have like a portfolio building day, so we won't be on Zoom, but you will be building your portfolio. On Wednesday, we are off for November break. And then we will come back for that first week of December, and we'll have our final show with Group 6, Hashtags for Hope. I'm really excited for that. Feel free to reach out if you need anything, but otherwise, job well done, everyone. And Matilda, any last words for this team?
No, great job. And I think you did such a good job discussing an uncomfortable topic. I know that was a comment. We also got that you did a really good job talking about a topic that was for sure uncomfortable, but you guys did really well, and you made a hard topic easier to understand. So I really appreciate it. Good job, guys.
Very good job. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You were amazing.